What's up, everybody? Derek Anderson, the DA, and you can see right there on the scoreboard for Rings of Power so far at 81%. If you actually checked this earlier in the day, it was at 96%. It seems to be coming down quite a bit. But funny thing is, when you look over here and you click on that 81%, you only get like 5 reviews. And it's like, what's up with that? Where are the reviews at, Rotten Tomatoes? What you gotta hide? You know, I want to read all of them. But, you know, you got to go and seek them out. You know, you got to really dig deep to try to find these reviews. So that's what I did. I went in there and said, okay, let me go and read up on all the reviews that I can find and kind of get a consensus of what I think critics have been saying so far. Now, like I say, the critics are the critics. You hear me say this a lot. The critics are the critics, and you can't always listen to what the critics are saying anyway. But the critics is like the one ace in the hole that you think that Amazon had, at least in their back pocket, that they could pull out and be like, the critics love it though. You know, you figure they would do that because, like we saw before, this thing has to succeed, right? They've spent almost $1 billion on this, right? $250 million to get the rights and another $715 million to make this first season. Only one season so far, and they've almost spent $1 billion on this show. So you gotta figure, like, the critics would be on their side. We gotta get all of these guys together and have them talk this thing up. And at the very first premiere, they did. You know, a lot of critics came out and made a lot of positive statements about the Rings of Power. But what happened after that is what's interesting, because you're now starting to see these slowly trickle in some of these other not so kind reviews of the Rings of Power, and we're going to go through a couple of them just so we can kind of see what the other side thinks. Now this one is by CNN Entertainment. The Lord of the Rings delivers spectacle but lacks the dramatic power to rule them all. That's one headline. Let's look at another one. This is Time Magazine. The Lord of the Rings of Power, it's filled with beautiful images and tired archetypes. You getting the hint right here? Let's look at a third one. This is the Washington Post. The Lord of the Rings of Power is beautiful, banal, boredom. Okay, so you kind of getting a hint, right? Like, this thing looks great, and if you spend $1 billion on something and it don't look great, okay, yeah, we got real problems right off the bat. But it's supposed to look great. So, you know, them telling me that stuff is beautiful, oh, it's spectacular, it's bold, it's breathtaking, I'm expecting that, okay? Off rip, I'm expecting this thing to look amazing. All right, if it doesn't, ho ho ho, what the hell are y'all doing, right? It's kind of like with She-Hulk. You guys have tons of money and you can't get better CGI than that. Yeah, I'm calling that out all day long. Okay, so yeah, telling me something that is beautiful that you spent $1 billion on, you know, that goes without saying. It's going to look good. All right, but is it going to be interesting, or is it going to be boredom? All right. And you hear this same theme just kind of trickling out through all of the reviews that everybody's saying, hey, this thing, we don't know about it. Again, just going back to the previous ones that we saw. Tired archetypes, boredom, tired, right? Kind of synonymous. Lacks the dramatic power. There's no drama in this, okay? You know, the one thing that you can say about House of the Dragon is that even though there's not a lot of action, they don't slow down. They give you a lot of dramatic energy from the actors, from the situations that are going on in that show. It has dramatic power, all right? Even though if it doesn't have a lot of action, you can still get people hooked by giving them interesting character work, okay? Interesting plotting. You know, you've kind of developed a little bit of a story already. House of the Dragon did, and apparently even in 2 episodes, right? 2 episodes of Rings of Power, nope, don't exist. But this is the review that I found especially interesting, where Entertainment Weekly, of all people, said it's kind of a catastrophe, right? Give this appendix an appendectomy. Now, I'm not going to read this because it does have spoilers in it, so I'm not going to read this, but I did want to call out this one particular point. This last part, and this is where it gives us C- grades. Viewers hungry for Middle-earth anything could be satisfied, and I guess you could argue Rings of Power is no worse than all the other expensively empty genre adventures. Empty genre adventures. That what they gave us? Just some genre, just some fantasy stuff. They just said, hey, let's just make fantasy. I said that this was going to be Fantasy the Show. I said that. Remember that. Okay, this is just Fantasy the Show, and it doesn't have anything to do with Tolkien, Lord of the Rings, or Middle Earth. They just slapped like this Middle Earth Tolkien sheen on top of a standard, generic, boring fantasy story. That's what they did. But this series is a special catastrophe of ruined potential, sacrificing a glorious universe's limitless possibilities at the altar of tried and true blockbuster desperation. That tells me everything I needed to know right there. That says it all, okay? And again, this is Entertainment Weekly. This is just like as mainstream as it gets when it comes to anything entertainment related. And they gave it a C-, and I'm not saying that they are the, you gotta believe them, you gotta listen to them. Go and check it out for yourself. Everything that we've seen from major publications, Washington Post, CNN, Time Magazine, they're saying that this thing is drab and dull. I guess they didn't have enough of a bag to give to these guys to make their reviews a little bit better. But nevertheless, that's where we're at. So I can't wait till tomorrow. I'm gonna be watching that as soon as it drops, and I'll have my review as soon as I can possibly get it out, because yeah, I cannot wait to really dig into this series. I'm gonna give probably a long review just to really discuss the 2 hours, because it's gonna be kind of like a movie, right? So I should be able to give like a really in-depth, deep review. I really want to see what this thing is. I cannot wait to deliver that, folks, tomorrow. But nevertheless, tell me what you think about these early reviews and, some of the negative ones, right? I guess, again, like Amazon didn't have enough of a bag to buy off everybody, so they just bought off the ones they could, and the rest of them, they starting to trickle in, and it's not looking too good. Go ahead, leave me your thoughts and your opinions in the comments below, and I want to thank you for watching. See you next time.